Could a spark of your love light a fire in me? Just a spark, warm my cold heart. It's the living that breathes.
Hello YouTube, how are you? This is Pastor Chris Thompson back with you again this week. Each and every week we sit down and we do a short devotional based on what we're going to be teaching this coming Sunday. Now this week is August the 27th, is our Sunday of 2017. Now if you can't be with us here at Christ Central, we do encourage you, of course, to find a church where you can worship, where you can fit in and be a part of things. But if you're normally with us and for some reason you can't physically be here, I thought I'd give you a little primer on exactly what we'll be doing this coming Sunday. We are going to be in Mark chapter 6. Now, in Mark chapter 6 is a fairly famous story, one you've probably heard before, yet not the version that you've necessarily heard. Mark chapter 6 is Christ walking on water, one of his most famous miracles. And normally, when you read this passage, the author focuses on the fact that there's a faith issue there. Do you have the courage to walk on water? When Christ calls you to go out and walk on the water with him, do you have the courage to do that? That's not what Mark focuses on at all, actually. In Mark's version, it's actually different. I'm going to read a short passage here. Mark 6:45 and 46 say, after leaving them, he went on to the mountainside to pray. Later that night, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and he was alone, and he was on the land, and he saw the disciples straining at the oars. Because the wind was against them, shortly before dawn, he went out to them, walking on the lake, and was almost ready to pass by them, and then they cry out. Then he gets in, and then he brings them peace. And I think Mark has done something a little bit different. He's taken this amazing miracle of Christ breaking all the laws of physics and boiled it down to just a couple things. One is that Christ sees us when we're having troubles. And I know that the very next point is going to almost contradict that, but hold with me here. Christ sees us when we're having troubles, yet he then supersedes them and is actually above our troubles. And where I get that from is he not only sees the disciples out in the boat, but then when there's a need, he breaks all the laws of physics and walks right out across the lake, right to them, showing that he's so far above our issues. Yet in the midst of it, the disciples are crying out in fear, you know. I look at my own life when I read this passage and I think, how often have I cried out in fear because my troubles are so big, my burdens are so large, how can God possibly help me? Yet, when push comes to shove, when I come to the very end of my rope, and you as well, when you come to the very end of your rope, and you finally cry out to God, all of those troubles are so terribly small for him. He would like to join you, to be alongside you during your struggles, whether they're struggles that you're ultimately going to be successful in or struggles in which you're just waiting for them to be over. Either way, he wants to walk right alongside you, get in the boat with you. He's asking for you to call him this week. Before you wait until it's so bad that you're at your wit's end, call on him now. That is my encouragement this week. Spend a few minutes in prayer, asking him to be with you, whatever your struggles are. Nothing too small, nothing too large for our Savior. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this Friday. As I've already mentioned once before, we'd love to have you worship with us, but if you can't, find a place where you can. Don't forget to hit the like, hit that subscribe button, so each and every week you'll get our updates. God bless.